Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the biggest battle right now in Dungeons & Dragons live action play. So Critical Role has enjoyed a period of 10 years where they had absolutely no competitors, and they've been able to just run away with the D&D live action play numbers one spot. They really haven't had anybody even come close to them, but Deborah and Woll perfectly timed Tales of Woodcreek, and she's bringing it out at the exact moment when the best dungeon master in the world has surrendered his crown and handed it to a substitute teacher, which should be pretty easy to beat, right? I think Brennan Lee Mulligan is if you want to go, if you want to take the D&D live action number one spot, the time when Brennan Lee Mulligan is substituting for Matthew Mercer, that's the time to do it, right? So Deborah Ann Woll has really chosen her moment to strike extremely well, and at this point, Deborah Ann Woll is going for the number one slot in D&D live action play with Tales of Woodcreek, in my humble opinion. And what I want to do is I've been comparing campaign 4 Araman, Brennan Lee Mulligan's Critical Role campaign, with season 1 of Tales of Woodcreek. Today, I want to compare them on the attribute of propriety. All right. So, what is propriety? Propriety is a sense of civility and decorum. Decorum, right? And is your content appropriate, right? So, all right. So let's dig in. Okay. So what did Critical Role do on Propriety? Well, they smashed it on the ground. They lifted it up, smashed it, and stopped it with their feet. All right, so what have we gotten in every single season of Critical Role? Hey, my character's going to a brothel, and I want to tell everybody out there who's watching our live action play exactly what my character is going to do in the brothel. And then players interrupting players. So wait, I want to go in the brothel first. It's more important that everybody sees what I do in the brothel, right? And exactly who I do that with, right? It's super important that everybody knows what I do in the brothel and who I do it with in the brothel. Like, this has been a major theme in Vox Machina, Mighty Nine, Bell's Hells, and of course, keeping with tradition, campaign Araman did exactly the same thing. Started with, here's a brothel, here's what I'm doing in the brothel, here's who I'm with in the brothel. And it's so important that every player listening knows that I went to a brothel, exactly what I did in that brothel, and exactly who I did it with in that brothel. Right? Huge theme, right? The bumpity is a big deal with Critical Role. Right? So there's no decorum, there's really no civility, there's no propriety. Okay? All right. Also, lots of D jokes, cursing, the whole nine, right? Like the propriety is something that Critical Role likes to pick up, throw on the ground, and smash it with their boot, right? Like, it's just not, there is very little, if any, propriety in a CR campaign. And campaign 4 Araman, I would argue, is probably the most, the campaign that has the least propriety of any of their campaigns. All right, so let's keep going from there. All right. Oh, yeah, and objectification of characters, like objectification of men and women. Like, it's all around. It's bad, right? Okay. All right. Is that happening in Tales of Woodcreek? That's a good question. Well, what's interesting, so let's walk it through. So who's in Tales of Woodcreek, all right? First of all, it's Deborah Ann Woll. Is Deborah Ann Woll being like, is there any decorum there? Is there any propriety? Is there any civility? Yes, it's all propriety, all civility, all decorum. There you go. Like, it was like, yep. Like, and then Anjali Bhamani. Decorum, propriety, yes, right there, right? Iman Vellani. Decorum, propriety, yes, right? Lots of it, like a refreshing breath of air compared to Critical Role. Then we hit the dungeon dudes, right? Okay, so there's two dungeon dudes. There's Monty and non-Monty. I can't remember what the other guy's name is, but I remember Monty, and the reason why is right back to no decorum, no propriety. There's a big old joke right in the middle of it that's as crass and crude and rude and like bumpity based as anything you would find in Critical Role, right? And so it was like, oh man, like we were doing so good, right? And Monty is like, oh hey, you know, we're doing a D&D live action play. Better get that crude, crass D joke in there. Like, you're like, oh man, did we really need that, right? So there is one member of the crew of the player group for Tales of Woodcreek that is just as crude, just as crass, just as focused on the bumpity as anybody in Critical Role, or actually all the people in Critical Role. There really is no break from it in Critical Role. It's across the board, right? They're all like, oh, it's kind of like Critical Roles are like, it's a race. You know, the players are like, which one of us is going to get in there to get the most time to describe what we do in the brothel and with who we did it with in the brothel. It's really important. The who part is really important, right? Like, you're like, okay, like, and so Tales of Woodcreek is the opposite, except for Monty. Monty from Dungeon Dudes is like, hey, remember crude, crass D&D live action play? Let's not forget that. Let's not leave that behind. And he doesn't, right? He's just as bad as, you know, Sam Riegel or any of the worst of Critical Role. And that, I was a little disappointed with that. But, right, when you combine the two, it's very clear who wins, right? And the clear winner is Tales of Woodcreek. It has propriety, right? It has the majority of its players show propriety, decorum, and civility. And it's really nice to see that you can have a D&D live action play without a bunch of D jokes, without a bunch of, you know, bumpity details, without, you know, like, it's really important that you understand my character's going to the brothel. It's really important that you have high details of what I did in the brothel. It's really important that you know who I did it with in the brothel. Really important, right? Like, you're like, was that important? You know, now, and the nice thing is, now that Deborah and Woll is bringing forward a group that has propriety, decorum, and civility, you're like, maybe it was never important that we knew those details. Propriety, on the attribute of propriety, it is 1 point to Tales of Woodcreek, 0 points to 0 points to Campaign 4 Araman, Brendan Lee Mulligan's campaign. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments, send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.